Awesome. Well, thanks, Samantha, for all your work so far. It has been a pleasure to work with you. And hey, everyone. Well, I'm not sure where everyone is based, so I can bet that is all a little bit around the world. We are like a small distributed team on Mars for the partnership team that means in Buenos Aires. And there is also Francisco and Daniel here, and they are in Cordoba and Bogota, Colombia. So yeah,
Hey guys.
well,
Hey everyone. How you doing? Go ahead, Mars. Keep going.
cool. Just a little introduction. The idea of this meeting is just to introduce you Yerbo from a general perspective, and you also are going to have the recordings for this and to the quick demos so you can check later. And the principal idea this is folks make all the questions that you have right now, and the idea is to make this the most you know easy way to try to keep off everything. And basically it's going to show you what your bill is about, what is burnout from the scientific perspective and what is not, and the expectation that it's important to have set before to start for managers and for individual contributors. For example, we don't expect everyone to be a psychologist from day one. That's not expected. So it's important to have that in mind. And well, after that, a Q&A, we are going to make the most time of the space for that Q&A. So that say, Francisco, if you're ready to go,
Yeah,
when you're
so
ready.
I'll start sharing my screen. You should be able to see it right about now. I'm loving that you have your roles right next to your names. I think that helps a lot. At least once we get to the questions, I think that can be very informative. So I like that a lot. Okay, so I'll go through this presentation. This isn't, and then as Mars mentioned, you guys are going to get also recordings from this, not only this session, but also some quick videos that we've done previously. I'm sorry if at any point my my speech is a little bit impaired because I had a dental appointment yesterday and this is a little bit swollen. So yeah, I think we can make do. But if at any point I start salivating intensely on this side, it's just coming from yesterday's session. Okay, so Yerbo, what's the basically I'll take you through what the idea is behind Yerbo. We're helping tech teams in particular, but overall hyper growth companies and their employees achieve better mental well-being at work. That's our main goal. And basically this comes from the personal story of Marcos. He's gone through some mental health issues in his family as well. And the last company he got acquired by Mercado Libre, which is just this behemoth of a company here in Latin America. And he started analyzing what he thought was the success behind it. And he figured out that the fact that they had 3% rotation in the tech team was an outlier compared to the market, and you realize that probably having a happy, healthy team driven by science based well-being management that was from the get-go something that they tried to do and built tools around inside Maquinalis, that company. And so he decided to democratize that and create a solution and bring that solution to the world once he sold the company. So that's where Yerbo comes from. So for this initiative, the three main goals we expect to achieve with you guys is basically empower all teams to understand their well-being metrics and what are the leading indicators of mental well-being. Then we want to do this by empowering all employee levels. So both on the individual contributor level, managers and their managers should get different information and should get valuable information and guided action from the tool. And that's the last part of this, where we want to create spaces where there can be honest conversations around burnout and mental well-being. At any point you guys want to stop this, you just raise your hand, open your mic, and throw any question. Feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll have a Q&A session at the end. Okay, so Yerbo, I've been talking about this for some minutes now. What it is a mental well-being tool that keeps track of each individual's mental well-being based on a Slack survey. So this is a bot that is integrated with Slack. You can also answer some of the weekly check-ins directly on the web version, but we do recommend that you use Slack. It's the easiest way to do so. It's a very quick one, and then all answers are anonymized and aggregated. So only you will be able to see your own information. There's a lot of people using Yerbo's tools right now around the world, and so we're very happy to have GitLab trying us out as well. So before we start just going into a little bit of the terminology around some of the things that we're talking about today. So burnout in particular, when we talk about burnout, we talk about a state of mental and physical chronic stress, okay? So it's not just the feeling of exhaustion that maybe we can get away from the office for a couple of days and that will make us feel better. It can help reduce exhaustion. But if then we come back from let's say a couple of days off, or Thanksgiving, or Christmas, or whatever it may be, maybe it's going off to a paradise island vacation. When you come back, if the same job demands and the same job resources are there, then probably you're going to start going back into the same state that you were in before. And so this is something that's albeit not a clinical condition, is something that is considered as a syndrome that you need to watch out for. So we have extra links there next to not only the definition, but also what its causes are. And these are at 3 levels: on the individual level, on the team and leadership level, and then on the company level. All these things impact the individual. Some of them we can try and address at the workplace, but obviously on the individual side, there's a lot of factors that go into that that have to do with family life and all that, and social life. So we'll go through inside the tool. You'll see that there's a lot of information, and almost everything inside the tool is clickable. So you'll find that you can dive into each item and read through and learn a little bit more. So we invite you to follow all these links. We'll be sharing the presentation as well. You'll be able to find the main factors that contribute to burnout, also cognitive traps or cognitive bias that we might have prevalent, and you'll go through all that list. And that's something that we're also analyzing in the weekly surveys. I think one of you at least had some issues today with answering those specific questions, but I think that's all solved for now. And then there's work engagement, which is kind of the other side of the coin to burnout. So you'll find sometimes people that are quite high in risk of burnout, but at the same time, they are very engaged. And when you are very engaged, when you have a lot of focus, when you have a lot of empowerment, and then you're able to face more exhaustion, more cynicism, more depersonalization, and still be able to function. But if work engagement is really low, then that correlates, and you have a high risk of burnout, that correlates with having the syndrome.
Thanks, Francisco. Yeah. Just a quick note. He mentions cynicism, despersonalization, self-inefficacy, and exhaustion. This is not a random mention, but it's how burnout is formed from the scientific perspective. So in those links, you are going to find more information about that, but it's important to know that burnout from the scientific perspective is formed by these 4 factors.
Perfect. Thanks, Mars. Yeah, that's very much true. Okay, so how does it work? Basically, you have a 2-minute weekly check-in that comes into your Slack workspace. These are rotating questions, so that it's always a little bit, these ones are in Portuguese. I can assure yours will be in English. But there's also in Portuguese, and we're working on the Spanish version as well. So if any of you have your Slack workspace in Portuguese or in Spanish, you'll be able to see these. All right, so then you'll have your individual insights dashboard, and also you'll see that next to each item, you'll find also some action steps recommended for depending on your results. So this is what Yerbo looks like for you, for everyone as an individual contributor. You'll be able to see this. Your managers will be able to see this for themselves, not for you. So this is the information that the personal dashboard shows. Okay, so here you'll be able to see what your burnout risk is, what level of it is, and then you'll be able to track how it's faring week over week. Okay, so you'll find those two columns, the green one and the red one. The green one represents work engagement levels, and the red one represents burnout risk levels. So you can see that in the week of November 8th, there was a very low level of work engagement and a very high level of burnout risk in this particular case. And you can see that it seems to be reducing the burnout risk throughout time, and work engagement in particular has increased significantly. You'll be able to click through any of these graph bars, and the system will take you to that place in time, and you'll be able to dive deeper and understand how each factor was at that moment. So you'll find work engagement, and this is made up of three factors, so mental focus, purpose, and energy. And then you have on the burnout side, you have the four factors that Mars was just mentioning. So based on the scientific literature of the past 40 years, these are the four main factors that correlate to a high risk of burnout. So exhaustion, cynicism, depersonalization, and self-inefficacy. If you've also taken the time to answer the cognitive traps questions, you'll find those underneath this section as well. Okay, so each of these things are clickable. You can go into exhaustion, click through it, and you'll be able to see. If we have the time, I'll take you through the dashboard in a few minutes. Now, the manager sees something that at the first glance might seem very, very similar, but it has its nuances. So this is the team well-being dashboard. Okay, so if you're a manager of multiple teams, you'll be able to scroll through those with the drop-down menu at the top right. And then what you'll see is an aggregated and anonymous data from all your direct reports responses. So you'll be able to see how your team is doing. You'll be able to see how it's tracking through time, how it's trending. Then you'll be able to see how many people have answered each section. So for work engagement, you have 5 out of 5 responses. So you can go into each one of these: mental focus, purpose, and energy, and see the distribution of responses there. And you'll also find burnout indicators. And then you'll see also the root causes. So you're not only going to see what the burnout risk looks like and what factors are contributing most to that burnout risk, but you'll also be able to see what are the root causes of, say, cynicism or exhaustion. And those root causes are what we call the job resource satisfaction, which is the section that goes after this one, where you talk about 4 levels of company, leader, team, and task satisfaction. Depending on your levels of satisfaction, you'll be impacting some of these factors of burnout risk. When we go through the product, you'll be able to understand this way better. Now, if you're a manager of managers, so if you're managing multiple teams, you'll also be able to see the bird's eye view, where you can see the whole company and see out of these 3 main criteria: burnout risk, work engagement, and job satisfaction, how each team is doing. And you can find that maybe there are some patterns that you should be concerned with. In this case, work engagement and job satisfaction seem to be quite red, which is translates into something that should demand some attention and some resources, maybe to try and fix some of the issues that are underlying these results. Okay, so what's your role? What's expected of you as an individual contributor? So it's expected that you answer consistently the survey questions. Okay. Also, it's important that you learn about all the insights inside the tool. So you should go through them and understand what's the meaning behind each indicator. Okay, and then you should try and figure out if you need to bring some of your results to one-on-one discussions, peer conversations, retrospectives. There's in Yerbo in particular, we use a lot of what we see in our dashboard, individual dashboard, to drive then conversations with the direct managers. Then it's perfectly all right to ask for help. This is something that we always stress, and I think that everyone here, just by showing the interest to take part in this call, I think you're showing that you actually care about your mental well-being and your teams. But sometimes it can be too much, right? And if you're going through a challenging situation, it's perfectly all right to raise your hand and say that you need help, be it inside the company, going through the resources that you might have inside the organization, but also looking for outside professional help. It's perfectly all right. So if you see that there's a lot of red, there's a lot of things that you feel you're not in control of, definitely ask for help. And lastly, follow the guided action steps, try and take action, try and see if you can start impacting positively your burnout risk and your mental well-being insights. What's not expected, sugarcoating. So please answer truthfully. Don't ignore any results. Also, if you see that there are insights there and you decide to not take action, at least let it be a conscious decision and not only out of apathy. So if you see those results, look into them, try and understand what's going on, both yours and your teams. And then complacency, don't feel like because you're doing well, you feel okay, that you don't need to answer because maybe you think that you already know what the tool is going to tell you. If you answer the questions, remember that the questions are rotating. We're always trying to figure out different things with each round of questions, right? We're going through all the job resource satisfaction, work engagement factors, all that. And so it's important that you keep answering because it's best to have some consistency in the results and feel like that's a little bit boring maybe, but that's way better than finding out too late that something is off. Now, if you're a team leader, just a little bit extra things that are expected from you. So on the personal level, you need to use the tool. You cannot just expect your team members to do so. Also ask for help. This goes for all levels inside the company. And then as a team leader, you need more than anyone to understand the actual indicator meaning behind this, and you need to open safe spaces. So it's very important that we, as leaders, we show by example, we lead by example that it's okay to talk about these things. So there's a lot of our customers, team leaders that start weekly and dailies by showing the anonymized team insight dashboard, because that allows for some discussions. Maybe people will see that there's, I don't know, maybe there's a peak in exhaustion, and maybe that can bring about some conversation about this deadline, this project, whatever it may be, and maybe that can spark some good conversations around those issues, and then taking action not only for yourself but also suggesting actions for your team. What's not expected? It's not expected that you should use the results as a proxy for performance reviews. Obviously, this is not the idea, and this is not the best forum or data to do that. Also, don't try and solve everything by yourself, right? Don't just think that because you have this tool and because you're the manager, you're supposed to solve everything. No, it's perfectly all right to not be able to say that you cannot help and to reach for outside help to come in and help some of your direct reports. And so those would be the main things that I would highlight here. Now,
thanks, Francisco.
Yeah, Mars, go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead. I was just about to say thank you for the demo, for the quick demo, and we have just 4 minutes left, so I just want to say, everyone, feel free to open your mic or to write on the chat if you have any questions. And as well, if you want to chat after this session in a one-to-one setting, or just want to process all these and have more questions later, we can do that in the direct support channel we are going to open directly on Slack. So if you have any questions, feel free to do it now.
I actually had a question. I was following along in the Slack prompts when you were talking, and seemed pretty straightforward how the questions are, but are they the same questions each time, or does it kind of switch it up but still get to like the main core of what the question is asking?
Yeah, the questions change each week to measure different factors. So you are going to see there is a rotating questions each week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I could see that being something that, like, you know, if it was the same thing, you know, becoming monotonous. So that sounds cool. Thank you.
No, but that's a great question, Megan. Let me just add to that we're adding new questions, but you'll find that once you start answering them, there's different areas that will be populated with data inside the dashboard. But we're constantly adding iterations of the questions, but this takes time because we need to validate them scientifically. So there's a whole process that goes in. We cannot just go ahead and change one specific word, because we need to make sure that it's all validated.
So thank you, Megan. Anyone else? Well, if we don't have questions, thank you.
I'm sorry. I have one quick one. I didn't write it down. I was just thinking about it. You said that a lot of things are clickable, but like when I'm looking at the dashboard, it shows like your burnout risk is mid.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know what the definition of mid means. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is that 3 out of 6 good or bad? I don't know. Is there somewhere to read more about that?
Wonderful question. We can send you info about that. And one important thing is what we are measuring here is burnout risk, not burnout per se. So we are measuring the risk that people have to developing burnout to help these on-time prevention initiatives to avoid that people get into burnout. So we can send you more info about it later, Amanda. Well, awesome. Just one more important thing to know, if you are an individual contributor, if you are a team leader, is this to be effective. There is a lot of psychological safety that needs to happen. What we suggest to teams is, answer honestly, because your individual resources are only accessible by you. And when one thing that Francisco didn't show, but you're going to see in the demo, and you are going to see also when you are starting using the tool, there is suggestions for action steps at the individual level and the team leader level to start tackling all these factors and to start prioritizing the factors that you need to tackle. So one important thing when you start tackling these factors is you can do it right on the tool, but you can also use these insights to start open, honest conversations around mental well-being with your team. And this happens when there is a great psychological safety in the team, and this is so important to keep in mind. And we are just 1 minute past this. I'm going to be super respectful of your time. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear a little bit about what we are working on, and hope you have a wonderful experience. You are going to have an open channel to ask all your questions, and you also have one-to-one settings if you want to ask questions on privately. So thank you so much, and we are really excited to have you and to start trying this, and open to all the feedback that you had. We are constantly working to make the experience better. And yeah, I think that's all. Thank you so much. And again, really excited.
Thank you. Talk to y'all soon.
Thank you.